We live in the greatest time in human history, in the greatest place on the planet. And I'm glad we did it first. We could sit here and talk about tariffs all day. I don't care because we already won. If I'm Donald Trump, I am celebrating today. If I'm the Uncle Sam has wrapped himself in freaking glory. Are you guys ready for this? I mean, wrapped in glory. And you know what? I just picture this, guys. Be with me. Uncle Sam on the back of one of them, riding in. Its mane flying in the wind, right? America's blazing in the background. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people who apparently have never seen the movie Jurassic Park have done something in Texas. We brought back a monster.
1,000 years ago, a howl was lost to time. But today it returns. Meet Remus and Romulus, the first two direwolves since the Pleistocene era.
That's 13,000 years ago. It's one of my favorite eras. I also went through a goth period. But what the hell does that mean?
13,000 years ago.
13,000 years ago.
That was living, baby.
That was roughing it, man. 13,000 years ago. So if you guys haven't heard, Colossal Bioscience in Dallas, Texas, has done something that normally only some odd scientist in a place far, far away that you can't pronounce, that we probably give money to along with everybody else, decides to go, hey, I'm a habitual line stepper. And remember when you guys told me to bring back this and try it like a cockroach from the whatever area? Well, I've decided to bring something else back. No, we did it first. Uncle Sam smiles on us today, ladies and gentlemen. We have brought back an extinct animal. Are you ready for it? Oh, yeah. How do we do it?
We extracted DNA from two fossils that we knew from previous work had some amount of preserved ancient DNA. One was a 13,000-year-old bone, and the other was a 72,000-year-old bone, an inner ear bone. We were able to generate two genomes, two direwolf genome sequences from that, which we then compared to all the other wolves for which there's already been data generated. And when we do that, we want to figure out where it is that these two dire wolves are similar to each other, but different from the other wolves that are out there. And so we come up with this list of genes where they're distinct.
So they got these genes, they're distinct. So they start pulling the genes out. So the stuff that is completely different from the gray wolf, they leave in there. So like, okay, that's a gene of this. These two match. The gray wolf gene, they start pulling them out of the genes. So they pull all the little stuff out of the genes. Right? It's totally Jurassic Park, right? Which apparently nobody at this place has ever seen because they know what happens, right? The assumption is these things are going to stop growing. But we really don't know because it's still a shot in the dark, but we're having a good time, right? And my first thought was, ooh, I wonder what these are going to cost me. So lo and behold, they get to the point, and we were talking about it earlier, this took them from start to finish 18 months to get this done. They also did the woolly mouse, which is another animal that was extinct, but it's not as cool as this, right?
How big was it?
It's tiny. Like there's no ride. Like Uncle Sam ain't riding in on that.
All right.
Right?
Woolly mice are what woolly mammoths were afraid of.
Yeah, totally. Terrified.
Now, our goal in the direwolf project, just like with all de-extinction projects, is to re-engineer the core traits, the core characteristics that made these extinct species unique and able to fill whatever role that they filled in their ecosystems when they were still alive.
So awesome. It's incredible. It's here. It's now. And they're ready to rock and roll again. They're not just done. So Romulus and Remus took them 18 months. And one of the pictures I showed Belle, and we'll put it up at Chad Benson Show. And we'll throw it up everywhere on the as many places we can because we're on Twitch, Twitter and all that other stuff. So Peter Jackson of the famed, all the famed Lord of the Rings movies and everything else, he's one of the investors in the company. And they were talking to Peter Jackson, and Peter just bought the throne from Game of Thrones. And he goes, man, it'd be cool to get a picture on it. He goes, where are they located? And so nobody's supposed to know where they're located. They've got 2,000 acres that is just for Romulus, Remus, and their little sis. She's only 6 weeks old. She's not even ready to get out there. So they happen to be located in the same place. It was getting ready to be shipped as Romulus and Remus. So they took the pictures of these direwolves on the Game of Thrones, and it is awesome looking. But nobody's supposed to know anything. They're on the cover of Time magazine. And earlier, I'll probably get to pull the audio in a little bit, but they are already basically the size in just a few months of a gray wolf. And they're going to surpass that. They're going to be about 25 to 30% larger than a gray wolf. And like I said, we did it here in America. We saw a problem and we solved it. You know what that problem was? We weren't badass enough, and we need to be even more badass because we need dinosaurs. Screw your stupid drones, baby. We're bringing back dinosaurs.
Using this knowledge, Colossal then made 20 modifications to 14 genes in the DNA of common gray wolf cells. These relatively few tweaks to the genetic code produce some big differences. The direwolf's white coat, large size, characteristic vocalizations like that howling you heard at the beginning of the story, and more. That DNA was transferred to denucleated egg cells, meaning cells without their own genetic material, and then developed into embryos and were then implanted in the wombs of surrogate mothers, who were hound mixed dogs.
They're just here for the ride. So it is awesome what they've done. I mean, all kidding aside, and I say this, the time that we live in, think about the time we live in. You go back 100 years, my goodness me. I mean, you ever seen pictures from World War I and what they did to those guys, right? Even if they got shot and, I mean, it was just, you think about this now. We're bringing back dinosaur stuff. The next thing they think they're bringing back is the woolly mammoth. They said that'll be by 2029 at the latest. And the thylacine, right? Is that what it's called? I always mess it up.
I have no idea, man.
Sounds like a drug.
I'll go with it.
The Tasmanian tiger.
Oh.
So the Tasmanian tiger, if you guys don't know.
Thylacine.
They thought it went extinct in the late teens, I think, 19 or something like that. It's been a long time since anybody's seen one, although there are several people who say that they have seen it. If you've not seen it, if you were to take a coatimundi and a tiger and a greyhound and you put them all together, you'd have this thing. And they believe they can get that produced in the next year or so. So now none of these animals are going to be free. None of these animals are going to be, because we're going to cost me a lot, I'm sure, to buy one. No, but none of them are going to be free. They're not going to be roaming around, at least not at first. That is, because Belle and I were kidding about the fact that, man, I bet all these ranchers are going to be excited to have these things there. Yeah, they're not ready to roll these things out yet. So they're going to be in a private reserve, and then who knows what happens from there.
So here's what these things ate 10,000 years ago, based on dated, on remains that scientists found. These dire wolves ate western horses, ground sloths, mastodons, ancient bison, and camels.
Well, this is going to cure our ground sloth problem.
That's what everybody keeps saying. You know what? The giant sloth, man. We need to bring those bad dogs back. You know what they eat now? Anything that's not America.
Mark.
Whatever Trump tells them to eat.
I'm going to have one right here in the White House.
It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We've got dinosaurs. I called the deer leader in China today, and I said, do you like apples? How do you like that apple? Do you like prehistoric apples? Hey, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh.
How awesome is that, though, man? Because, look, wackiness aside, the fact that they even did this.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible.
And now, here's the thing. We all know this, right? Like, once somebody crosses that line, everybody's like, well, that's it. Somebody's not through the thylacine. I'm bringing back a saber tooth. And then it's going to be like, we're going to do a brontosaurus. We're going to do a brontosaurus. It's going to be one of the ones that only eats, vegetables and fruits and trees.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, it's things are running amok.
They're going to let them loose in California to eat up all the fire fuel.
That's right. It's going to be great.
I bet you Gavin Newsom will like that.
Of course, Gavin was worried. I had to bring in the giant guns, literally. I had to bring in the giant Brontosaurus Rexes that we've produced at the White House. The Trump Rexes. Trumposaurus Rex.
Oh, yeah.
Told you guys there was megalodons.
Yeah, so it says that this wolf had the most powerful bite of any of the Canis species.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm glad we brought that back.
Larger teeth, the biggest teeth, and the strongest bite force.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Well, I mean, they're going to need. If these things were bringing down mastodons,
yeah,
even if they were in a pack.
I know. Well, Mastodon, I mean, that's a big band. It's hard to kill a whole bunch of members in a band like that all at once. How many members were in Mastodon?
Apparently just 3 now.
What happened to Metallica? You didn't hear about my giant, huge dire wolf that ate him? But you know what? They were talking. So it's really interesting because we're talking about 75,000-year-old skull, like a 40,000-year-old tooth or whatever it was they extracted the stuff from.
It's amazing, man.
So they said these things, again, they have no outside influence whatsoever. They are pack animals. The two brothers, they're worried. They look around their sister, make sure she's okay. She's only 6 weeks old. They're bottle fed, all of that stuff. They are not really very friendly, and they don't really want to hang out with the people.
Imagine that.
But you would think, right? Like, okay, well, you're being bottle fed. You can't be that far removed. Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So this should be a warning for the people who want to have the saber tooth.
I mean, there are stories of even German shepherds turning on their owners.
Yeah. This is going to be awesome. They're cool looking, too. And the guy that runs the place, he was on with Rogan yesterday talking about it. It's fascinating. I love this stuff because, you know what? I was telling my wife, I said, I'm talking more about this today because that's what I talk with my friends. I got more text messages from people going, did you guys really come up with dinosaurs? Come with my buddies in England? I'm like, yeah, we did. You betcha we did. I'm excited about it. Could you imagine Trump going, I told everybody we were going to do it. Only under Trump could you have Trumposaurus Rex. That's basically should be the thing. I do find it funny that I doubt any of these people ever saw Jurassic Park.
That's true. They probably never.
The best line in Jurassic Park, yeah, but when the ride breaks down at Disneyland, the pirates don't come off and eat the riders.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff to get to. We'll probably talk a little bit about tariffs, but we already won today, right? Like, this is it. We win. Some stuff about SCOTUS, a bunch of other stuff to get to. By the way, I saw this and I thought, well, this has to be an American story. It's not, but it feels like it should be an American story. And it has to do with wrestling and church. Where do you hear this stuff?
Wrestling and church.
Wrestling, too. It ain't wrestling. It's wrestling. Bunch of great stuff to get to today. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. With all the stuff going on in the market, are you ready to get yourself a second opinion? Maybe you got a cookie cutter investment or retirement. You're wondering to yourself, what can I do to do something better to protect myself? Bullwark Capital is going to help you with that. The market A lot of changes going on, a lot of stuff happening out there, and Bullwark's going to give you a second opinion on everything that it is that they do. And let me tell you why they're different. First of all, active management, always looking for opportunities. They're building something for you, not cookie cutter. And they're going to go through and say lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility. It's all about what fits you and your life and your risk and reward, what you're looking for. And they're amazing at it. I swear by it. I send my families to them. You will love what they do. Get a second opinion with Bullwark. Call 866-779-RISK today, 866-779-RISK, or check them out online at knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involve risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24173. USS, United Structural Systems, right now with all that water, and there's some more coming. Do you know if you have standing water anywhere? How about your crawl space, right? What's going on there? How about this? Call my buddies over at USS today. Have them come out, give you a free inspection, right? They're not going to sell you anything you don't need. They're going to take a look at everything and give you a straight up, hey, this is what we think is going on. So many of us out there, we let things go too long. That crack underneath, you don't want wood rot. Oh, goodness me. You don't want mold. You want to make sure your house has no standing water and it is ready to go, especially as things start to get a little nastier out there, as the weather starts to change and it starts to become a little warmer. Humidity, USS has you covered for your foundation and everything in between. Call 615-488-7855 today, 615-488-7855, or check out everything they do online at USSTN.com.
Trump administration gets another legal win. We've got that. More on the tariffs coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
The talks expected on Saturday in Oman are described as high-level talks. President Trump saying they're direct, the Iranians saying they're indirect. Either way, it's expected to be a high-level meeting nonetheless, and that's what's significant here. It's also notable that the meeting is happening in Oman, which historically has played a key role as a mediator between Iran and the U.S. So we're expecting to see that play out once again this weekend.
Oman, this could be a big deal. It's interesting the way that these things play themselves out. So I was talking to my buddy, and he explained how these things are done, these negotiations, and it is high. This is direct negotiations as you're going to get for the most part, because they're sending their top diplomat to meet with Witkoff. You don't do that for indirect. You're doing that for direct. These two people report to the supreme leader and Big MAGA, right? That's who they support, report to. So the way it works is they're separated by one's on, let's say, the third floor, the other one's on the first, and there are go-betweens with the negotiations. They're not even texting. They do some stuff, they take it down, they kick it back up. It's a bizarre thing the way that this works. But Trump kind of put them on notice, which I think is a good thing to do, which is, hey, we're going to get something done, because if not,
We're having direct talks with Iran, and they've started. It'll go on Saturday. We have a very big meeting, and we'll see what can happen. And I think everybody agrees that doing a deal would be preferable to doing the obvious. And the obvious is not something that I want to be involved with, or frankly, that Israel wants to be involved with if they can avoid it. So we're going to see if we can avoid it. But it's getting to be very dangerous territory. And hopefully those talks will be successful. And I think it would be in Iran's best interest if they are successful. We hope that's going to happen. I think if the talks aren't successful with Iran, I think Iran is going to be in great danger. And I hate to say it, great danger, because they can't have a nuclear weapon. You know, it's not a complicated formula. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. That's all there is.
I think we can all agree with that. The interesting thing about this is in the Indian Ocean, we have the Diego Garcia. It is one of our big carriers. We have a ton of B-2 Spirit bombers there, all within touching distance. That's not because they just happen to be there. There is a reason for that. And that reason is no. So what I've read and the people I've talked to, they have said it would take a few weeks for them to get up and running when it comes to if they wanted to get enough of the fission and all that kind of stuff for a nuclear, device. The problem is, like anything, getting all of that stuff ready to make a nuclear weapon isn't delivering a nuclear weapon, which comes with a whole new set of problems. That may take several weeks before that can happen. How about no weeks would be better? And the Iranians are open to this because they believe Biden didn't want a deal. They think Trump wants a deal, and they think they can negotiate with him where they felt like they were never going to get anywhere with Biden because Biden was all about process and paperwork. He was not about getting a deal done. And so this will be a very interesting thing to see if it can get done because they can't have a nuclear weapon. If they get a nuclear weapon, it's going to be like going on the Oprah show, right? We're going to go, you get a nuclear weapon, Jordan, and you get a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia, and you get a nuclear weapon, or we have to go in and blow the hell out of them. And then we send in our direwolves. How awesome is that?
Not mine, though.
Remember?
Mine stays right here in the White House.
It's great. His name's Fluffy. Who was the guy they killed with the dog? Was it the Taliban guy? The Trump came out. He goes, he died like a dog.
Was it Baghdadi?
It was about Daddy. Could you imagine with direwolves? We send the direwolves in. It was spectacular. Chased him out. Then our giant pterodactyl that we've got with USA on the side tore him to pieces. He died. Oh, God. I love that. If you guys haven't heard, a company in Texas has created direwolves. Yes, from Game of Thrones. They've been extinct for about 13-ish thousand years.
Yeah.
Spectacularly,
They're back.
And what was their favorite food? Was it ground sloths?
Ground sloths, ancient horses, ancient bison, and mastodons.
And small children.
And, well, there wasn't any, so there you go.
13,000 years ago?
So, not anymore. Not with these direwolves around.
Yeah.
You're not creating direwolves. We don't eat children on our show. I don't know what kind of show you think this is, Belle. Good God. I can't take him anywhere. Coming up, Trump gets some wins in the Supreme Court. The oracles have spoken. We shall discuss that straight ahead. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk, 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. And drivers in Nashville, heads up. We've got a problem with Bell Road and Smith Springs Road. There is one lane for each direction through that intersection for sewer repair. It's going to be that way all day today, so keep that in mind. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Another legal victory for the Trump administration. ABC's Devin Dwyer says it impacts about 16,000 probationary federal employees who were fired.
A federal district court judge put a hold on those, said the Trump administration need to reinstate those workers, that it was likely illegal the way that they were fired. But today, the Supreme Court reversed that decision.
Meanwhile, checked your stocks yet?
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. After a major sell-off in the wake of President Trump's rollout of a sweeping tariff plan last week, stocks today rebounding a bit. And the White House says it plans to push ahead with reciprocal tariffs on countries.
President Trump says a delegation from South Korea is traveling to the U.S. to meet with his administration to discuss trade following his phone call with the acting president there. The president on social media said there's a probability of a great deal for both countries, but gave no specifics of what he's looking to negotiate. Treasury Secretary Scott Besson said Tuesday morning officials from Vietnam will be coming to Washington this week, and the Japanese are also eager to start talks. Besson telling ABC News.
And I think you're going to see a couple of big trading partners do deals very quickly.
ABC's Karen Travers. President Trump has threatened to slap another 50% tariff on China goods until China drops retaliatory hikes on U.S. imports. China says it vows to fight any tariffs with countermeasures.
Later today in Tennessee, lawmakers going to debate a bill in the House that provides legal immunity to herbicide and pesticide manufacturers. Agriculture attorney Dustin Kittle telling the Dan Mandis show this morning he's going to testify against it after consumers were successful at suing over sicknesses caused by Roundup.
Now they have went to the state legislatures and said, we do not believe that we should be subject to a lawsuit at all so long as the EPA has essentially approved our product. And their whole argument here is the label doesn't say that the product doesn't cause cancer.
Kittle's going to be testifying before the Tennessee House Judiciary Committee to voice his opposition to that bill today. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Burna Technologies. I want you guys to get over there. It's in Franklin. It is awesome. So imagine this, being able to train. Like you go to your gun range, you train. It costs a ton of money. With Burna, these are like nothing you've ever seen before. It is non-lethal, but still amazing. It's a great way to train without breaking the bank. And it's also a good way to introduce people who may be a little, well, if you will, gun shy. With these, you can train, and it's as real as it gets, and it's amazing. I want you to go over and see them. They're incredible, and so many police forces across the country are using Burna Technologies as less lethal, but it is also an amazing way to train and keep up your skills because it gets expensive out there with Burna. All you have to do, you get a free range, right? With the Burna launcher, you bring your CO2 cartridge, you can buy them there, and use my name, you get 10% off. And check out the website. Go there, see where they're located, see what they're all about. You will not be disappointed. They're incredible. Or call 615-558-0534, 615-558-0534 for Burna Technologies right here in Nashville. By the way, I messed up. Bell, I messed up. I didn't mean to say aircraft carrier. I said Diego Garcia, and I was talking. I read a couple things at once, and I messed it up. So for all of you, I apologize. And Bell and I throw our mercy.
You bastard.
And you're also in trouble for saying that kids will be eaten by the giant, huge.
Well, that's why we should feed them. If your kid doesn't listen and do what he's told, then you feed him to the direwolf.
Now you can start doing those scary stories right to your kids. You know our other kid. What other kid? There was one before you.
Exactly.
He didn't listen and clean his room like he was supposed to.
We fed him to a direwolf.
And then all of a sudden, the cleaner of the direwolves came out. And you know what happened from there.
No, I don't want to be eaten by a direwolf. Well, then you better listen.
You don't want to be eaten by a direwolf. I'll tell you that right now. If you guys haven't heard, we've created dinosaurs. Thank you. Trump got a win in the the White House is fighting these uphill battles. The administration is going to be doing this for a while. Everything is a lawsuit with Trump, and he understands that. And one of the things that was, and we've said it, as much as I get frustrated at times with Trump in some of the stuff in the administration, it does, because I think they want to go, and sometimes you need to, cut 2-3 times, measure. Don't cut a whole bunch, just once. So one of the big things, though, is can we get rid of the bad ones, the worst first, right? Oh yeah, that old law, the Alien Enemies Act from 1792 or one of those way back days. Yeah, he can use that. So he got a win from the oracles, which was not a shocker. I always thought he was going to win that one. But it does come with a little bit of a caveat.
President Trump hailed the Supreme Court ruling as, quote, a great day for justice in America. And this is a victory for the administration, but as you note, only a partial one. On a 5-4 vote, with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a Trump appointee, joining the court's liberals in dissent, the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump can continue to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 for now to carry out deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members.
For now, we can do this. And it is going to be about due process. That's the big thing. You've got to give these people time. You can't just go, you've got a tattoo. I think you're part of this gang. I saw a Facebook post from 12 years ago of you putting up the hang loose sign. That could be construed as a gang sign. We got to get rid of you.
But the ruling was narrow. The court's majority holding only that this case was brought in the wrong lower court, so litigation likely to continue. And this is huge. All 9 justices of the Supreme Court agreed that courts do have the power to review the president's actions under that 1798 law, and that each and every Venezuelan migrant scheduled to be deported must get due process. That is advance notice of the deportation and a meaningful opportunity to challenge it in court.
So, and this is on the heels of, and I don't even know how many, yesterday is funny because I mentioned something and everybody's like, that's the wrong guy. This is what happened to this guy. Because you've got one in Maryland. You've got the, for lack of a better term, the gay hairdresser. You've got the soccer player from Venezuela who was not the same guy from, you've got all of these people and all their families are like, this guy, we had an order that he was not to be removed and you didn't even listen to us and you took him away. So we want some due process. And so I don't know how many of these lawsuits are going through because, for all the 200 and some that went down there, there's not a ton of them. But could we have made a mistake? Possibility is there.
Chief Justice John Roberts essentially calling a timeout here, giving the court more time to consider the case of Kilmar Albrego Garcia. He is a Maryland man in the United States legally, who the government admits it mistakenly deported to that El Salvador prison. The administration does not want to return him. A lower court judge has ordered that the administration bring him back to the United States, but the administration argues that exceeds the power of the judiciary and interferes with the president's ability to carry out foreign affairs.
Good. And I'll say, I get on this administration. I was any administration, but I voted for Trump. I want Trump to succeed. I want the administration to succeed. I want them to do the right thing because that's who we are. And we should use some common sense and this want to get a hold of stuff. And then I heard, we can't. He's already in El Salvador. We can't bring him. You can bring him back. You can't make a phone call Right. There's no way you can make a phone. No, it's too late, man.
You can't convince me that somebody couldn't call down there to their president and say, we're kind of having some issues here. Could you just send that guy back for us? And
Yeah.
what's the president going to say? No, he's mine now.
No. I know. That's the other stuff that's going to be coming in these lawsuits is if we deport, can we deport foreign nationals to other prisons where they're not wanted for something? Is another one of the lawsuits that's coming. So sending somebody from Venezuela or Honduras or Turkey or wherever to El Salvador, is that something we're able to do, or do we have to deport them back to their own nation? And in some cases, they're not taking some of their people, but for Venezuela, they had already worked that out through threats or, whatever you want to call it, that they were going to take some of those people back. So I don't know how that's going to play itself out. This was also unsigned. So it was 5-4, and I heard Chris talking about Amy Coney Barrett and how awful she is, et cetera, et cetera. But these things were also unsigned, which means, essentially you weren't supposed to know. You just knew it was 5-4. You didn't know who, what, when, how. There wasn't supposed to really any dissent, and away it goes, and here we are. This is going to be something, though, that is going to go forward, and each one of them, and there is going to be a lot. Like we said, so many of these things are going to be tested at the Supreme Court level. And the partial victory, you heard that, the activist judges. Well, the Supreme Court said, no, they're not activist judges. They're judges, and they have every right to listen to these cases and to rule on them. Oh, on the other side of it, he got another win today, which shouldn't have been too surprising. And it had to do with probationary workers. And I didn't realize how long probationary workers, it's like a 2-year process when you're with the government. That's then you're like, you get tenure at that point in time.
The judges basically at the lower court never questioned the government's power to fire these workers. It was just how it was done. But the Supreme Court today said actually these labor unions don't have standing to even take on that challenge. They said that these groups had not shown enough evidence that they are directly harmed to be able to bring this case. And so for now, even as the litigation moves forward, these workers will be off the job effective immediately going forward.
Because you're on probation. Like all of us, for the most part, you work somewhere, you have a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day probation. Theirs is a little longer, and it's because it's government. Nobody would ever think you'd get fired. But you can't tell the administration that you can't get rid of probationary when you can go back and saw, 370,000 that Al Gore, this is before he invented the internet, got rid of, and most of them were probationary workers. Now, it's a different story with the unions and the battles are going on with the full members when you're not on probation, and that's what we're going to see in the coming days, weeks, and months. So, very interesting. Somebody said, hell no, we don't want to make a call to ask him to come back. F him. So, are you saying, Ray, that we should just say, screw the law? Is that what we say? Screw the law? Screw the courts. We make up our own rules. We've got dinosaurs now. And dinosaurs change everything.
Dinosaurs is the penultimate making your own rules.
That's it. Quick to the direwolf. What does it say? It says, I win. Kathy asks about the direwolves. Does this mean nothing will go extinct? Here's the thing. One of the reasons they're doing this, besides it's awesome, is the fact that they're going to try to bring back and stop things from going extinct, like, black rhinos, stuff that's close to being extinct with only 1 or 2 left, being able to preserve and to repopulate. And eventually things like that where you would like to get them back out in the wild, you're not putting the direwolves out there. You're not. I mean, that's not going to happen. And when they make a T-Rex or something, they're not putting that out. A Trump Rex, they're not putting that thing out there. MAGA. That's all it says. Instead of, it says MAGA. The only due process of an illegal alien is time for them to prove they're here legally or not. It's not the way it works. Look, you don't have to like it. Okay? You don't have to like it. I didn't make up the rules. I didn't write the Constitution. I didn't do any of those things. You don't have to like it. I'm going by what the court says. Now, if you feel that the court is stupid and you don't like it, then you should take it up with the court. Like that's not me. And by the way, one of the people that they're talking about was here illegally, proved that he was in danger and that I think he had been subjugated in Venezuela and beaten on a few occasions about his politics, so they gave him asylum. I don't know about the rest because we don't know. Again, we don't know. Some of this stuff has been very, it's like, it's national security, so we can't, it's a risk. But we'll find out what happens. And again, due process. I want due process. Because the more you have due process, the more you prove to people that this is who we are. We follow the law to the T. When everybody said we weren't going to. When everybody said that, nope, he's going to get in there. He's going to make himself, a dictator for the day. But instead, he's made it for life. The more that you follow the law and you do the things you're supposed to do, the better it is for everybody. Because it shows you, look, we're as transparent as it gets. And that's what we want. We want transparency across the board. This last administration was anything but transparent. They were, we wouldn't have had a guy wandering around the White House for 4 years. Really, the last 2.5 years, just absolutely out of his mind half the time. If they were transparent and people were honest. And we want that. We want that from our leaders. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. That's what you want. Because if you want to be able to stand there and say, we did it right, we listened, we followed the law, there is nothing else. You won't be in this mess again, which is what you want. And they're going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. I made one earlier. Trust me, you guys let me know. You guys are keeping score, apparently, as well as Bell. You guys keeping score on Bell, as you have to, though, with Bell. Can't let him get away with some of this stuff.
I will cheat.
Will you? The courts are corrupt. The courts are corrupt. That pesky Constitution always getting in the way, says Jason. I know.
The pesky Constitution.
It's the name of my band. It's a good name. I've got, what do you have? Sir has a very pesky Constitution. Ever watch any of those old Westerns? Oh, my Constitution. Coming up, who knows? Maybe we'll talk a little tariffs. I don't even know what's going on in the market. It's probably up 50,000 points today. Down 70,000.
It was up like 1,000.
Buy, sell, buy. I saw that in trading, was it Trading Places? Great movie, by the way.
I made the mistake of looking at my 401k.
Don't do that. Now it's a 4OK.
A 4K.
We'll talk a little bit about that. Who knows what else to talk about? Because, we talk about a lot of stuff. And, yes, more direwolf talk today. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, the best stuff in the world for your dog or your direwolf if you were to have one. They should take the 90-day challenge with Ruff Greens. What is the 90-day challenge? 1 scoop a day for your dog or direwolf and watch what happens. It's going to help them with their coat. It's going to help them with their energy level. That's what you're going to see in the first 30 days. By day 60, their immune system is stronger, right? They're more limber because inflammation's gone down, and that's great. Because you're feeding them live enzymes. By day 90, heart health's improved, immune system's through the roof, energy level. We can go on and on. It is incredible. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens, a $20 value, yours for just the cost of shipping, and take the 90-day challenge. If you love your animals like I love mine, try Ruff Greens. Take the 90-day challenge. Get that $20 Jumpstart trial bag for free. Go to ruffgreens.com. Use my code Chad, ruffgreens.com. Use code Chad. The Wellness Institute of... I'm getting to it, Bell. Settle down. Come in there. See, my back hurts. Oh, but I'm going to go to the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and they're going to sort me out. Why? Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, take care of me all the time. 47% off because it's the big 47 right now going on all through this year in celebration of the President of the United States, the 47th President. So let me tell you something. Your back is very important. I love the fact that I can move. I love the fact that I can do stuff that, quite frankly, you know, I played the sports for a long time, and I worry, man, that back goes out. Oh, geez. And so many people get frustrated, and they try surgery, or maybe they don't. They try everything else. It doesn't work. You've tried the rest, try the best. And that is the Wellness Institute of Nashville. You go on in there, you get a full consultation. They're going to do a workup, right? They're going to look, and they're going to look at your back. They're going to take x-rays. You can bring your MRI, and they're going to get a plan that's right for you. If you need surgery, if they say, look, they're going to tell you that. But you've tried everything else. Why not go over to the Wellness Institute of Nashville? Let Dr. Ashley, Dr. Mitchell sort you out the right way. Build a plan that's right for you and your back and get you out doing the things you love. Call them today, 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009, or go to paintisbad.com.
SCOTUS sides with the Trump administration on firing probationary federal workers. This story and more at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I feel like Trump, if he had his druthers, would probably like to have two dire wolves sitting next to him.
Two of them.
Yeah.
On either side.
Romulus and Remus.
Yeah. Right there on either side of the Resolute desk.
Could you imagine coming in, right, like Zelensky or anybody else, right, Xi sitting there looking over and going, oh, my God, this guy's got giant wolves. Trump sitting there in a fur coat like he's a pimp.
Yeah. Xi comes in with a saber-toothed tiger, and they got to pull him apart.
That's it. Getting ready to battle it out. Ooh.
I mean, I think China has some pretty big tigers over there.
They do, but it ain't a wolf like that.
Not like that. No.
Not like that, baby. Not back 13,000 years ago. What do you see, our saber-tooth? It's awesome.
Now there's going to be a race to bring dinosaurs back.
Oh, yeah, that was always happening.
We're racing to the moon, and now we're bringing back dinosaurs.
Yeah, so we were talking earlier about the gangs and whatnot, and somebody, Kevin said, my understanding, the only way to get the tattoo is you must murder someone, because, you know, the tattoos are one of the things that they associate with. And to get into the gang, you've got to murder for MS-13. You got to be, essentially, you have to have killed. They have tattoos everywhere, like their entire faces and everything. Because the whole thing is, they want you in and you can never get out. Like, you're not getting a job as a CPA afterwards.
I promise you, I won't tell anybody.
Like, that's part of it, is making you do things like that to forever be beholden as part of it. And the only way you get out is what's going on now, which is, you know, I think at some point in time at 70, you're probably kind of out of the gang, right? You're not much money earner. Yeah. I can't believe my prostate don't work anymore. Well, you know, he's not earning money. Or you die. That's the other way out of a gang.
I was getting ready to say, like, how old is the seniors? How old are the seniors in MS-13?
I'm sure they've got a few shots. And by the way, those ones are probably in their 50s or 60s, but they've probably been in prison for 25, 30 years,
right,
since they came over here from El Salvador after the Civil War, because that's where these gangs kind of started. But you don't see many old, they don't have a great retirement plan, right? There's not a 401k or a pension. So it's an interesting thing, how some of these gangs, because it used to be 13 seconds you jumped in. And I think that still happens maybe in America more so than it does down in El Salvador. It used to, but El Salvador's changed its ways because they lock everybody up. No questions asked. Why? Because when it gets so out of control, the reaction is mighty. And that's what you have right now. What you have right now is the reaction in El Salvador of, we don't want gang members here. We don't want you people ruining the world. We don't want you people destroying our country. And you go from a place where it was so dangerous to, we've had several of you chime in and say, man, I was down there with my family and we went, it was great. We never had anything to worry about. No crime. Because people are terrified. that if you get in trouble, you're going away.
Yeah, it's kind of like in some countries, if you get caught stealing, they chop off one of your hands.
So somebody said, I don't think gang members get to old age. Not many.
No.
Not many. I will say, was it Vlad the Impaler, one of the great impalers of our time? Vlad's thing was he used to leave gold cups everywhere. He'd leave all this stuff out because people were so terrified that if you stole any of it, you were going to pay the price. So he knew that nobody would ever take anything or do anything. So he would leave goblets so you could get water. Who doesn't love a goblet?
Yeah.
He is one of my favorite impalers, by the way, Vlad. Probably the best of the impalers. The greatest impaler after me.
My favorite's Jeff.
Jeff. Jeff. My name's Jeff. Coming up, more dinosaur talk. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Heads up, drivers on Bell Road today. The intersection with Smith Springs Road going to be down to one lane each direction for sewer repair. Metro Water Services says going to be that way all day. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. U.S. Supreme Court shooting down a lower judge's ruling that says about 16,000 federal probationary workers fired by the Trump administration to cut costs have to be reinstated. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
The judges basically at the lower court never questioned the government's power to fire these workers. It was just how it was done. But the Supreme Court today said actually these labor unions don't have standing to even take on that challenge. They said that these groups had not shown enough evidence that they are directly harmed to be able to bring this case. And so for now, even as the litigation moves forward, these workers will be off the job effective immediately going forward.
Meanwhile, tariffs. President Trump not considering delaying them ahead of tonight's deadline.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. The market's rebounding a bit after days of losses due to President Trump's tariffs. The White House says the president is moving forward with reciprocal tariffs set to kick in Wednesday on nearly 24 countries. At today's briefing, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says the Trump administration is also willing to hold trade talks with some countries.
President Trump is willing to pick up the phone and talk. And the president met with his trade team this morning, and he directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to strike a deal.
Economists say the markets and businesses and Americans are facing short-term and long-term consequences. KPMG Chief Economist Diane Swank.
All of this moving around and mixed messaging that we're hearing is adding to uncertainty, which economists measure because it's a natural human behavior. In the face of uncertainty, we tend to freeze up. It paralyzes us.
President Trump says the U.S. will hold what they're calling high-level talks with Iran over its nuclear program this weekend. While the U.S. says the talks will be direct, Iran says they'll be indirect. Here's Marcus Moore.
Iran has said that it has no intention of building a bomb. U.S. officials remain adamant that Iran cannot be allowed to have a nuclear weapon, and Israel feels the same way. And so we know that Israel and the U.S. have strategized together, and really much of what is done in the Middle East is done to counter Iran's influence in the region. And recently, the U.S. has been moving military assets into the region, including a second aircraft carrier, the USS Benson, as well as Patriot missile systems and the THAAD air defense system into Israel.
Yeah, the U.S. and Iran have not had direct negotiations since President Trump withdrew from the nuclear deal back in 2018. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
This should also be the new song for the president when he walks in with his giant dire wolves. If you guys haven't heard, company in Texas decided, hey, you know what we should do this weekend? Let's bring back ancient wolves. How ancient? Well, 13,000 years or so, give or take.
Maybe Wolf Mother can get back together and be the official White House band.
That'd be great. How cool would that be? Thunderstruck. Yeah, do you guys think we're going to play that other stupid song from way back in the day? We need something rocking. Hey, guys, don't be a panicking. What?
Don't be a panicking. President Trump has a new name for critics slamming his economic policy, a panicking. He debuted this new word on Truth Social, and he wrote, the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak, don't be stupid, don't be a panicking. And he says it's a new political party made up of people panicking over the economy based on weak and stupid people.
That's what you love about it. Never holds a punch. Just never does. You guys are weak and stupid.
A panicking.
Don't be he's making stuff up. I love it. He doesn't make me laugh. But you know what? We should celebrate today. Kids, we need to celebrate because America does what America does. And we do it better than anybody else. When everybody else is bobbing, we're weaving. When we're weaving, we're bobbing. When we're jumping, we're ducking. We're doing it all. And we did it big time. Because you see, we didn't build a time machine. We built a brought forward machine.
Over 10,000 years ago, a howl was lost to time. But today it returns. Meet Remus and Romulus, the first two direwolves since the Pleistocene era.
That's right.
It's a great era.
It's so good. Man, the music in that time was just... You don't get music like that anymore.
Yeah, the cheese. Oh, it was great.
If you guys don't know what we're talking about, first of all, read a book. I don't know. Just kidding. It's not in the book what happened today. Not yet, but it will be. That's if the other stuff they try to create doesn't kill us all.
Right.
This is something that, and I want to emphasize the time that we live in. When I hear people say it's the worst time, it's all this, it's all that, you hear all these people whine. We live in the greatest time in human history. We want for nothing. Our poor people are fat, which might be good for the direwolves. We live at a time where we can be anywhere in the world in the next 20 plus hours. If Belle and I said, screw it, Ken, get your passport, we're bouncing, we could be in New Zealand tomorrow.
We could do it.
You know how long that would take? Not too long ago? And I'm not talking like with your grandparents, but if you're a little old, if your grandparents are still alive, that's not too long ago. I mean, it would take such a long time. I could talk to anywhere on the globe. I was reading that the Butch, the astronaut, said, you know, he didn't, when he was up there for 9 months, because he was only supposed to go for like 7 days, he was up there for 9 months, never missed, he never once missed his church service because he was able to stream it in space.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Longest 7 days of his life.
Longest 7 days of his life. Like, this must be what that whole Gilligan guy went through. But I say we live in the greatest time in human history because we do. Nothing's ever been like this before. Opportunities abound. Things are in front of us. It is incredible.
Not to get too far off track, but was he just streaming it or was he able to interact with the
He was able to interact.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. It is. So check this out. It was announced quietly over the last couple days that, yes, direwolves from Game of Thrones, they're back.
It's an animal that hasn't existed for some 13,000 years. The direwolf, made famous on the television series Game of Thrones.
It's a direwolf. There are no direwolves south of the wall. No, there are 5.
But the long extinct species now making global headlines for a new reason. A Dallas-based biotech company saying they've resurrected the giant Ice Age wolf, essentially bringing it back to life through a process called de-extinction.
Colossal is the world's first de-extinction company, and our goal is to make extinction a thing of the past.
Colossal says they've genetically engineered 3 wolves that they say resemble the dire wolves. The company sharing these videos showing the animals howling as cubs, and here sleeping and running in their habitat at an undisclosed secure location in the U.S.
Because it's U.S.-made wolf. Actually, Trump goes, make sure you put U.S. made in the USA. It is amazing, though, all kidding aside. Think about what just happened and what they have announced. Think about how incredible that is for us. The de-extinction, I mean, look, you got to go big, right? Like, you're not going to come out and go, hey, guys, we brought back mice. Yeah. Guess what? We brought back something we probably shouldn't have. But you go big. The first thing they did was the woolly mouse or whatever it is, that actually was born a few days after these 2 were born. And there is, somebody said, there's a third one. Yes, they have a little sister who is, they were born in October. She was born like 6 weeks ago. So she's wee tiny. It is incredible, though, when you think about what is just taken place and the ramifications. Yeah, should we be playing God? They had their chance. But this isn't always so much about yesterday and, the dinosaurs and stuff like that, which would be.
There's going to be a movie made specifically about this event.
Yeah.
And the title will be, oops.
Probably. Oh, God. We didn't know that they carried something that could wipe out the planet. Hey, China, don't eat them.
No doubt.
Right? Don't eat it. Don't bring back the pangolin that's giant. What was that? The bats, the pangolins, all the stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how many things we've gone through that they've said, oh, it came from here, it came from there. And by the way, if you've never, it's something fascinating, a little side note. I follow these because I collect, and for years I've collected exotic animals and worked with exotic animals. I follow a couple people who are in Asia, from China to several other places, and they'll go to these animal markets that are more about pets, and the stuff that you can get there is insane. It is. Oh.
Hey, sooner or later, you'll be able to get a dire wolf there.
Sooner or later, somebody. And I know somebody's going to overstep it, but I'm glad we did it right the first time. Trump's like, I love this.
People think it's a scary word, de-extinction. They immediately put us with Jurassic Park, and it's not. We're trying to develop these new techniques in order to save animals.
But the process does sound like something out of the 1993 blockbuster. The company says scientists relied on ancient preserved DNA from a tooth and a 72,000-year-old skull to decipher the direwolf genome. They then used gene editing technologies to rewrite the genetic code of the common gray wolf.
So one at a time, we take our gene editing tools and we go into that cell and we cut out the bit of DNA that looks like a gray wolf and paste in its place the DNA that looks like a dire wolf.
Once a new genome was created, domestic dogs were used as surrogates, miraculously giving birth to Romulus, Remus, and their sister Khaleesi. Yes, named after Game of Thrones. But this scientific feat, no fantasy, and some online already questioning whether it's a step too far.
Yeah, you knew that was going to come. Somebody's a fun ruiner. Settle down with your conscience.
Debbie Downers.
Super fun ruiner. It'll be at least 3 years before they produce something that could eat us. Maybe 4. Woolly mammoth, by the way, is what they're looking at next. Now, Ken, earlier, as in the crack team that we have here. By the way, our team is so crack. It's amazing.
That's crack team.
Tell us again what these things like to eat.
Yeah, let's see here. They were known to feast on Western horses.
As you do.
Ground sloths.
Totally.
Mastodon. Ancient bison. And camels.
Camels?
Camels.
What kind of camels? Just regular old camels?
Just regular old camels. Apparently, 13,000 years ago, camels were known to roam North America.
There you go. Look at that.
What do you know about that?
Huh? Learn something new every day. You learn something new every day. How big were the sloths, the ground sloths?
And let's see here.
That's a good question. Wonder what those taste like.
A lot like tree sloths, but a little slothier.
A little less gamey. I got to really go hard with my tree sloth.
Doesn't say how big they were. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Ground sloths varied widely in size from under 220 pounds in the Caribbean to, no way, 9,000 pounds? No way.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
That's a BAS, a big-ass sloth.
That is, and they've got a really big claw.
Yeah,
that you wouldn't want to mess with.
The thing is, though, direwolves are quicker because I don't know if you're aware of this. Sloth is Latin for very slow.
Yeah.
Very slow. I've seen Zoopolis. Is that the name of that movie? Zoopolis?
I don't know.
With the if you've never seen Zoopolis, some of you have got kids, or maybe you watched it. I think it's one of those Disney movies, but it's a cartoon that's actually not woke and wacky. But they go to the DMV, and everybody that works there is sloths. It's hilarious.
A 9,000-pound sloth.
It's a big sloth.
That's a big boy.
Can't wait to bring one of those back. It's going to be awesome. What kind of pet is that? It's a big-ass sloth.
It's just direwolf feed.
Oh, my Lord. Purina. Somebody said earlier how big that, you get 500-pound Purina chow.
Purina was coming out with a 500-pound bag of direwolf chow.
It's just got one buffalo in it.
Wow, you ought to see the skeleton of one of these ancient bison.
Zootopia.
Man.
There we go. Zootopia. Appreciate that. Are they big?
Yeah, they're big. Let's see here. 1,800 pounds. Well, actually went up all the way to 3,500 pounds.
Big, man. It's big. And these wolves, by the way, the dire wolves, so
horns.
Really?
Their horns were nearly 3 feet across, tip to tip.
And if we bring those back, some idiot in Yellowstone will try to pet one.
Of course. But the good news is that will be caught on tape.
Yes.
What was the thing earlier we were looking at? Some of the stuff they're talking about bringing back. One of them was it the Irish deer?
The Irish elk.
The Irish elk.
Which is, I think it said it was 6 feet tall, but the antlers were like 8 feet across.
Yeah,
Like
and it's always drunk.
Yeah, it's always drunk.
They probably don't like humans either.
No, they're probably not. No, let me say something, guys.
They were talking about bringing the dodo back, the thylacine,
the woolly mammoth,
the giant moa.
Yeah, the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger, the thylacine, are the first two that they're going to bring back. They're efforting the woolly mammoth by 29. I have a feeling the thylacine is going to be a lot sooner than that.
Now, what's the thylacine?
That's the Tasmanian tiger.
Okay.
They're cool looking.
It's not an actual tiger. I think it's actually more related to dogs.
Yeah, it's more related to dogs. So it's one of those things where it's actually.
But that's something the humans were responsible for making extinct too. That didn't die out naturally.
No, and several people go, well, I feel like we are, playing God, and they had their chance. Yes, but for things like the thylacine, a lot of other animals that are close to, being extinct, their chance was humans ruining their chance.
Yeah, that's what happened with the dodo.
Yeah, the dodo was a very smart bird anyways.
I think the moa was killed was made extinct by humans too.
What's a moa?
It's like a giant emu.
It's a thing that you push and you go and the grass cuts.
I don't even know you. So, I'm out.
So it's a big ostrich.
Yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Only this one is probably 3 times as big and will stomp you faster.
That's what our soldiers are going to be riding in on.
That's a good visual.
Right? Just mowing in. Just coming on in, crushing everybody. Here comes the moas.
Followed up by the dire wolves.
Coming up, I don't know, maybe some tariffs. Who knows? We have a lot of stuff still to talk about today on this fascinating show. You know what, guys? This is why I love America. This is why I love the time that we live. It's incredible. And sometimes we need to take a step back and go, maybe have we gone too far? But at least I'm here for it. I'm liking that. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Why gold? Are you seeing what's going on in the market? Unsettling times, opportunity still to make money with gold. On top of that, it's a great safety net. It has been a safe haven for a long time. A weakening dollar, global instability, markets that are jittery. We can go on and on. Why gold? Because it's been there for a very long time. And when times get like this, they look for safe havens. They being investments, bankers, the big ones, right? The banks, so many people who understand how the investment world works, they look for things like gold. Birch is my gold company. I swear by them, buy my gold from them. I want you to do this. Text the word Benson to 989898 today. They're going to get you out an info kit, show you what they're all about. No hard sale, but why gold and why them. AAA rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're going to treat you amazing. You treat me and my family amazing. You'll love what they can do for you. Text the word Benson to 989898 now for Birch Gold.
SCOTUS lifts the block on the Trump administration firing probationary federal workers. And here in Middle Tennessee, the story of a teenager wanted for robbery who tried to hide from police in a storm drain after a storm. That's coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Here's a lady who was not happy about the Dodgers going yesterday to the White House. And boy, was she upset.
I'm crashing the out, because tell me why are the Dodgers going to the White House? Take this shit. Take this shit. I can't. Benny, give me that shirt. Give me your shirt. Oh, Danny.
By the way, she's yelling at her dog who's wearing a Dodger shirt as if the dog put the Dodger shirt on itself. She's not done.
Freeman. Mookie. Kike. I'm losing it, bro. I'm losing it. Count your days. Dodgers, count your days! I can't breathe. I'm fucking shaking! I don't care who is in charge. I don't care what is the tradition. I don't care. It's all stupid. I hate you guys. Count your days, Dodgers. Count your
Oh, my Lord.
Wow.
That woman needs a Xanax in the worst way.
Wow. I got to look her up.
Oh, she's spectacular. She is. She is all that is great with insanity. I still am fascinated by insane going online, but I know that it's clicks, it's likes, it's all of that stuff.
Sure.
When I was talking to Brad Palumbo, we've had Brad on the show. He's great. We're hoping to get him on again. But we were talking about the first thing people decide to do now when they're upset is go and cause a scene because it's great for the endorphins, I guess, the clicks, the likes. Oh, my God, look at the Dyers. I hate the Dyers. I thought it was, okay, get over it, right? And I know Mookie Betts went, and he said that he didn't go when he was with the Sox, because he thought, you know what, I don't want to get involved in any of this. If I go, people are going to gripe. If I don't go, people are going to gripe. He said this time, I just don't care. People are going to say stuff anyway, so it doesn't matter. And so he went, which says to me privately, he's like, I like MAGA.
They should have rebranded to the Dodgers for one day.
Oh, that'd have been great. The Dodgers. That would have been awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you tip your waitress and waiters. Little bell right there coming in as our opener tonight. What? Did you see, by the way, that there's, was it, speaking of the Dodgers, that Elon called Peter Navarro a moron?
Yeah.
There's trouble.
That's about Elon's speed. I can see him doing that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He, now, and we always, it's interesting to watch this, dynamics, because Trump likes when others face off with one another. He likes to be the eye of the storm. And so he'll sit back and go, oh, yeah, they're yelling at each other. That's kind of neat. It's not about me, but it's about me. But, they both like me, so I'm good with that. And he's fine that they're fighting it out. And he called Navarro a moron, which is, he has every right to do. There are a lot of people inside of the administration that are not thrilled by what they saw somebody who came in and usurped all the power, was able to do things, was able to fire, was able to do stuff that they thought, hey, this is my zone, right? Like, I'm all about Doge, but like everything, stay out of my zone. Stay out of my zone. I'll get rid of the people I want to get rid of. And that, and he's not thrilled by tariffs, especially with Europe. He doesn't want tariffs with Europe. With China, it's totally different. We'll get into it a little bit deeper. China has a lot more to do with, this is a trade war. This is trade fair. They're going to throw down because you have to. Yeah, absolutely. This is a much different thing. Yes, we like cheap goods, the whole manufacturing. We're going to bring stuff. That I'm still thinking that's not happening the way that people think, right? I mean, my God, we just brought back, a direwolf. If we're bringing back direwolves, imagine what else we can do. What else? Somebody's going to go, is there any way you can bring back Neanderthals that we can just get them to screw one screw in?
Jimmy Hoffa.
Jimmy Hoffa.
Bring Jimmy back and ask him what happened.
Who killed you and where'd they put you? We'd like to find the original you. Coming up, we'll talk a little tariffs, a bunch of other stuff to get to. If you're missing the show, shame on you.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers in Nashville heads up emergency sewer repair, prompting lane closures. This is going to be the intersection of Bell Road and Smith Springs Road. Metro Water Services says it's going to be reduced to one lane in each direction through this evening. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. U.S. Supreme Court clearing the way for the Trump administration to fire probationary federal workers. Ruling today involves about 16,000 federal probationary workers, which a lower court judge said needs to be reinstated because he didn't like the way the Trump administration fired them. Meanwhile, President Trump scheduled to sign another executive order today, this one to revitalize the coal industry. Stocks are rebounding a day after yesterday's tariff-driven sell-off. Meanwhile, in the U.S. Senate Finance Committee hearing this morning, U.S. Trade Representative James Greer.
Nearly 50 countries have approached me personally to discuss the president's new policy and explore how to achieve reciprocity, and they've spoken with many members of the administration.
Dow jumping more than 1,000 points today. And here in Middle Tennessee, did you hear about the robbery suspect who tried to hide from police in a storm drain during last week's storms? News 2 says it happened in Columbia on Thursday.
There is a man stuck in a drain. He's sticking his hands out like waving, trying to get somebody's attention. Is there water in the drain? Probably. It's probably not like super deep, but there's probably water in there.
Yeah, this guy's hands were sticking up out of the grate, waving to get someone's attention. Well, fire crews showed up. They removed the grate, and then 19-year-old robbery suspect Ty Harrington pulled to safety and taken into custody without incident. More changes coming to Instagram. Meta says users under the age of 16 are going to need parental consent for live streams and some messages. These changes will roll out first to users in the United States, Britain, Canada, and Australia before going out to global users in the following months. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Retirement Ready Toolkit from our friends over at Beacon Capital Management. Retirement, people get worried, especially if you're in retirement right now. I've had so many people talk to me about that over the last couple of weeks, the thoughts of tariffs and whatnot and what could happen. Let Beacon handle that for you. Let Beacon show you that, hey, if you're heading into retirement or you're in retirement, that you don't need to worry because they have a plan for you. They're going to get you out the Retirement Ready Toolkit. And inside of that, this is what you're going to get: a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. This comes at no cost. There's no obligation and absolutely no pressure. And the difference between Beacon and so many others is it's about a full service for you when it comes to your retirement. Everything from not just what goes on with your money, but tax planning, estate planning, even healthcare. Call them today. Get your Retirement Ready Toolkit, 615-488-9303. That's 615-488-9303 or online at askbeaconnow.com. Somebody said, so let me get this right. These guys brought back a direwolf that's been extinct for 13 years. In 18 months, Congress hasn't passed budget since 2012.
I bet you these people at Colossal could get a budget passed.
Probably. They're like, you guys know how to do this, right? It's just numbers. It's simple and easy. Somebody asked on the text line, and we love it when you text us. Give them the number. Bell.
615-737-9986.
Your dulcet tones.
615-737-9986.
Somebody said, why did he call him a moron? By the way, he didn't just call him a moron. So they've been going back and forth. And apparently, Peter Navarro yesterday said the Tesla boss was not a car manufacturer, but a car assembler, pointing to electric vehicles company importing batteries and other key components to manufacture its car. And he then said on X, he's truly a moron. And what he said is demonstrably false, adding the subsequent post that he is a blank finder and he is dumber than a sack of bricks. So, anger, I say, anger. Yeah, there's a lot of that out there because people are worried. And if it's your business, and I told everybody this, if you're 32, you don't care. You're not pulling money out today. You're not living on your retirement. Now, some of you may have already drawn down a little bit of it, had to take a loan, but for the most part, you're not. So unless you're a day trader, you're not paying that much attention. Don't even look at it. Bell made a mistake of looking at his 401k.
Oh, right in the grundle, as you would say.
Right in the grundle. Kicked square in the grundle. You don't want that. I'll tell you that now. If you're 65, if you're 70, on my national show, I have a line where you can leave a message if you want to yell at me. We've played some of those ones and whatnot. But he said, look, and he's been a listener for a long time since I was like very few stations when I first started. He said, man, we're thinking about retiring. My wife is retired, but I think I might have to put it off for a year just because I don't feel comfortable. And he loves Trump. This guy's MAGA through and through, but he is also looking at his life and saying, I got to do what's best for me. So, yeah, I mean, if you're at that point, you might be a little bit nervous. That's understandable.
Hey, not to get us off subject, but speaking of electric cars, did you see the news story about the McDermott caldera?
No.
It's on the border of Nevada and Oregon, and it's believed to have the largest single lithium deposit in the world.
Man.
Ranging from 20 to 40 million metric tons.
That is huge. Huge. We should go out and buy some acreage. I mean, just in case.
Start making batteries.
See? We won't have to, at that point in time, we won't have to worry about important goods. Of course, they'll figure out a way to make it so ridiculously expensive to get them out of the ground that it'll not be worth it. And so you'll have to import it. That's the other side of it. You know, one of the other things we ever talk about, not just the cost of the everyday employee over there where you get paid. I was watching, because I watch a lot of stuff on the YouTube because I find YouTube fascinating. And I watched this guy who's a pro soccer player. He was from, and I know somebody yesterday, the rodeo guy hates me and says, soccer's stupid. But it's fascinating. He is in one of the Southeast Asian countries. And he's over there. And he's got a cleaner. He's got a couple cleaners. And they were asking him, he goes through his life. This is what I do. This is how we train, the whole 9 yards. And he says, look, I eat out every day because it's just so cheap. But I have a couple cleaners that come in, 4 or 5 days a week. And they say, well, how much do you pay? He goes, I pay him $3 a day each. And people on the chat line are freaking out. It's horrible. And they're like, you have no idea. The money here, that money goes such a long way. We don't get it. But the other thing is the regulations we have make a lot of stuff here so damn expensive to try to pull out of the ground. At some point, there's a level of which you're like, it's not worth it. It's not. And like with oil dropping the way it is, right? At some point, fracking becomes too expensive to pull it out of the ground, so you just stop fracking. Because why would you pull a bunch of oil out of the ground that every time you pull a barrel out, you lose money? It's just that's not cost effective. It isn't. And as I was saying earlier about, some people are going to worry about some stuff. Rightly so. If you're a little bit older, it's generational. Other people, not so much. But one of the things is you're going to have to figure it out for you in the consumer confidence side is when you feel it in the everyday items we buy. And I don't think we're going to feel that for a couple, weeks. And we could feel it. And that's if it lasts a long time. All of this stuff with Trump, as we all know, is what? First and foremost, subject to change.
There doesn't have to be a recession. Who knows how the market is going to react in a day, in a week.
There doesn't have to be a recession, says the U.S. Treasury Secretary. He's right. There doesn't have to be a recession. The only problem is economic circumstances have now been put in place that most Wall Street economists of senior note say are likely to cause a recession. Goldman and others now say it's up to 60%. You want a trade war? This is what it looks like.
But it's different. The trade war, the thing we're looking at here, it isn't with Europe and, Canada. I was telling, earlier, like Canada, everybody's like, they've got tariffs on us, 250% on all these goods, dairy goods. That's not really true, right? That's true after it gets to a certain point that we've exported to them. So, and we've never hit that threshold. We've never hit that threshold. But these are all about negotiation. Some of these are about pure negotiations for something. And it might not be even lower tariffs in certain situations. It might be other things that have nothing to do with tariffs. Like with the penguins. Who knows? You don't let us sell penguin crap there. We want to. Not at a good price. But for China, and Trump has said it, we can't allow them to continue to get this stuff and do the things that they have done and put that money into their military. This is the new Cold War, and it's having to do with trade. We are much different than the rest of the world in a sense that, in theory, we could go completely, shut our doors, and survive. Many other nations, they can get by, but not like we can. It'd be tough for a little bit, but we'd make it work. I mean, my God, we just brought back a damn direwolf. We can do anything. We can do anything. But these are all short-term plays and negotiation tools. And one of them, I do believe, is going to be a much more prolonged trade war, and that's with China.
Yeah, and we're going to have to see what the administration comes up with these 70-plus countries that have called. We don't know how that's going to turn out yet. And I think people are also just going to have to take the president here and his administration at their word when they talk about reorganizing and reordering the global economic order so that it doesn't unfairly punish the working class of the United States. And on this issue with China, look, I don't believe that the rest of the free world is going to wake up and say, you know what? Let's get behind the Chinese Communist Party and let them lead us into the future. That will not happen.
No, it isn't. So this is there's a lot going on here that's not just about we don't feel like we've been treated right and hey, look at what Europe's done and all this kind of stuff because we've benefited from it too. I mean, God, we gobble up cheap goods. We also have exported tons of our services that we have a surplus on. So as we talked about yesterday, from insurance to finance to a lot of things like that, we've exported and we're sitting, happy with the fact that we've got a surplus in those things. But when it comes to cheap goods in particular, with China, they have taken that money and they've rolled with it and they put it into what they think is going to be their military to maybe rival us. They're far away from that, by the way. I'm letting you guys know that. Now, on the other side of it, you got somebody like Rand Paul who's not thrilled by this. And Rand is, and he, like everybody's always going to explain that, hey, he is a Trump supporter. Doesn't matter, though. And we can't be that way. Chris and I have talked about this. He even said it earlier. We've got to be able to allow criticism of our party, of Trump, of people inside of the movement. You've got to be able to have a different opinion and voice and not feel like we're going to throw you out of the tribe, which is ridiculous.
I am a Republican. I am a supporter of Donald Trump, but this is a bipartisan problem. I don't care if the president is a Republican or a Democrat. I don't want to live under emergency rule. I don't want to live where my representatives cannot speak for me and have a check and balance on power. One person can make a mistake. And guess what? Tariffs are a terrible mistake. They don't work. They will lead to higher prices. They are a tax, and they have historically been bad for our economy.
True. I mean, there has been a few times, even FDR was not a fan of tariffs. There's been a few times where tariffs have done some good in the right place, in the right timing. This is a blanket move, but Trump feels like this is the only time. But know that many of these things are very temporary. They're not going to be there for. I do not expect 2 months from now going, man, I can't believe we're still tariffing, Germany and the UK and everybody. No. But with China? Mm-hmm.
I am a Republican. I am a supporter of Donald Trump. But even if this were something that was magic and it was going to be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, awesome. I wouldn't want to live under emergency rule. I would want to live in a constitutional republic where there are checks and balances against the excesses of both sides, right or left.
I get where he's coming from. And, some people already are like, we got to get him out. We got to throw him out. We got to primary him. Like, every time somebody comes out and says something, you can't just primary everybody you don't like. And I like Rand Paul's pretty consistent in this way. There's several out there that are, Massey and a few others that are very much like this. And there are several out there who feel like, Trump is using this to do something and they should have to run it by us. I'm giving Trump his runway on this. And he's going to understand where this might go, and he'll be able to read the room, or he'll pay the price for it at the ballot box. And do I understand why some Republicans are nervous? Hell yeah. I mean, not only do you lose next November, you don't get a direwolf. Because this year they're playing for direwolves. I just love the direwolf, so I don't really care about this stuff. So we'll see what happens over the coming days. What is the Dow at, by the way? Do we have the greatest day ever? The greatest comeback ever?
Right now, we're up 34 points.
That's it, huh?
S&P down 15, NASDAQ off 85, but it jumped 1,000.
Yeah, it did.
At the open this morning.
And then the sell-off again began back down to a break even. You're going to get a lot of that. Today was probably one of those things where you saw a lot of people who had shorted the market taking some profit, stuff like that. It'll be fine. We're going to be okay. Again, you're retired? I get why you're nervous. If you're not retired and you're nowhere near it, A, you're not getting Social Security. We've already worked that out because Elon took it all. And B, you don't have to worry about it because it is you're in the first mile of your marathon. It's probably a good way to describe it. Coming up, a lot of good stuff still to get to. Including somebody asked me to design a picture of Trump because we talked about it earlier. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to show the guys, and then we're going to post it. It is everything you would dream of when it comes to Trump and the direwolves. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. All those incredible things packed into a supplement you give your dog once a day. And right now you could try a Jumpstart trial bag. It's a $20 value. You get it absolutely free. Just cover the cost of shipping. So the 90-day challenge works like this. First 30 days, just once a day. Boom, that's all you're doing. In fact, you're doing that for all 90 days. And you'll notice that your dog's coat is shinier. They got more energy. By day 60, their immune systems improve. They still got tons of energy. And you're going to notice that they're a little bit more limber. Their joints are limbering up. Especially if their dog's a little longer in the tooth. By day 90, thick, full coat without the shedding and the nightmare, especially if they got allergies. Their heart health has improved. Their immune system's improved. It is incredible what is going on with your dog. Try a Jumpstart trial bag today and take the 90-day challenge with Ruff Greens. Go to ruffgreens.com. Use my code CHAD. It's a $20 value. You just cover the cost of shipping. RUFFgreens.com. Use code CHAD.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Well, the White House says more countries have lined up to negotiate ahead of tonight's tariff deadline. And the death toll is climbing in that roof collapse at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic. These stories and more at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you guys get my text? Take a look at my text.
Let's see here.
It's the greatest text ever.
Ah, there it is, Brother Chad.
That took longer than I expected.
So, I was going to send it to you earlier, but so somebody asked me earlier because I said, if you guys haven't heard.
Oh, my gosh.
The dire wolves have been brought back to life. There's 3 of them. Khaleesi, Romulus, Remus. The 3 dire wolves, they've been extinct for about 13,000 years, and a company has brought them back, and it's incredible. And we were talking about it. I said, man, how cool would it be? Trump's got 2 dire wolves. He's got a He's got a fur coat, like super, like, what was that, Game of Thrones, right? And so we put together a picture. It's incredible. And somebody said, oh, you should put an eagle on his shoulder. So there's an American flag behind him. It's all kind of just this cool-looking darkness, and Trump looks badass with a fur coat, 2 dire wolves, and an eagle.
Yeah. Eagle on his shoulder.
You guys want to have a trade war now?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
There should be a pterodactyl in there somewhere.
We could do that. We could do anything. It's the beauty of the world we live in. It was hard for him to get Trump to sit down for that picture, too, but I appreciate him doing it. Will the company that brought back the direwolf be able to bring back Marilyn Monroe? The answer, Jason, is no. Stop asking weird questions. How about Betty Page? She was my favorite. It's more Betty. It's more Betty girl.
Yeah, she was pretty. That's a pretty girl right there. Well, they were both pretty.
Yeah. Betty went nuts.
Yeah. I feel sorry. I feel sorry for Marilyn Monroe, too, man. Both. Yeah. Both of them.
You know, that whole thing with Marilyn, for those you go, no, she's dead.
Yeah.
We didn't do it, though, so that's good. She was, there was a lot of issues. There's no doubt about the like all the mystery around Marilyn, and even to this day, all that kind of stuff. And you had to feel sorry because as beautiful as she was and as wanted and she probably had to be so damn lonely in real life.
Oh, yeah. She couldn't trust anybody.
No. I mean, that's got to be tough. Belle, what's it like being so beautiful?
It's a burden, man. I go through every day just trying to admit that the struggle is something I have to fight with.
Oh, goodness me. It is I could see, man. It is a burden. It's very much. It's that hair, man. It's the hair. But, they always say the prettiest girl in the club is usually the loneliest. People are afraid of her. True. People are afraid to talk to her.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting it from both sides. I mean, it's just, you have people who, they just look at you and assume you're a snob.
Oh, big time. And they assume not only are you a snob, the women don't like you because they're jealous of your beauty.
Exactly.
So there's a lot that, that goes into that. And, Marilyn, like you said, the struggle was probably very real. And I'd feel sorry for somebody like that. But no, Jason, they cannot bring Marilyn back. And if you guys would like the pictures, we're going to post them on the interwebs so you guys could take a picture. But this would be great for Donald Trump. I mean, this is just screams. This is why everybody likes Donald, baby. Because he's got dire wolves, fur coat, America. It's very America. Coming up, hour number 3 of the Chad Benson Show. We'll find out what animal they're going to bring back next. We're taking requests. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers in Nashville, just a heads up, the intersection of Bell Road and Smith Springs Road will be down to 1 lane each direction for sewer repair all day today. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Another legal victory for the Trump administration today. The U.S. Supreme Court lifting a judge's order this morning. That judge's order requiring 16,000 fired probationary federal workers be reinstated. But they will not be reinstated. In fact, now with the Supreme Court weighing in, they are immediately jobless. Tariffs. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says about 70 countries have now indicated they want to negotiate ahead of tonight's deadline.
President Trump is willing to pick up the phone and talk. And the president met with his trade team this morning, and he directed them to have tailor-made trade deals with each and every country that calls up this administration to strike a deal.
By the way, U.S. stocks have been mainly positive today. At least 44 dead, 160 injured in a roof collapse at a nightclub in the Dominican Republic.
Search and rescue teams are now at the site, combing through the rubble for any potential survivors. There was a concert at the venue beginning around midnight local time. The roof collapsed around an hour later. An investigation is underway to determine the cause of the collapse, but the priority now for the teams on the ground is those search and rescue efforts. Guy Davies, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
Here in Tennessee, have you heard the commercials that say if chemical companies cannot use herbicides and pesticides, Tennessee farmers won't be able to produce as much food and prices will spike? Agriculture attorney Dustin Kittle telling WTN's Dan Mandis this morning that's a bogus claim.
That's complete fear-mongering. You look at the states that have already voted this bill down. They've not removed their products off the shelf.
That bill being debated in the Tennessee legislature today, it would allow companies like Bayer Monsanto to be immune from being sued for bodily harm linked to the chemicals. And a woman convicted of one heinous crime, accused in another, has decided to represent herself. Here's Stephanie Officer.
Lori Vallow Daybell, convicted of killing her two youngest children and conspiring to murder a romantic rival, is on trial again. This time, she's accused in Arizona of conspiring to murder her estranged husband, Charles Vallow, and cash in on a life insurance policy while believing he was possessed by an evil spirit. She isn't a lawyer, but is representing herself in the 6-week trial. Vallow Daybell has pleaded not guilty.
New data from Health and Human Services shows allergies are lingering and the season starting earlier due to changes in the weather. Here's Michelle Franzen.
If you feel like allergy season is getting longer, you're not wrong, and you're not alone. Research shows tree pollen is peaking, and grass pollen season is not only getting longer, but getting more intense. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, rising temperatures are leading to milder winters and more frost-free days. That confuses trees and other blooming plants and leads to more pollen and sneezing. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
I am all about more frost-free days. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Yeah. Happy Tuesday, everybody. We brought back dinosaurs. It's pretty much everything you need to know. Not really dinosaurs. We're getting there, though. We are getting there. Somebody said, I don't want dinosaurs. Bring back some mythical beings that maybe didn't exist.
Centaurs.
Minotaurs, centaurs, a griffin. Oh, I could use a griffin. What's that? Well, it's a lion, but it also has wings. Right? It's pretty awesome.
It's a flying lion.
It's the flying lion. Hey, that Lori Vallow case, man, she is crazy.
Man.
Always the hot ones.
I'm telling you. She is, I don't know.
Did you guys
a terrifying
follow the case?
woman.
So, because she lived in Arizona. And so, if you guys don't know the case, it was a guy named Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow. And their kids disappeared. She had a teenage daughter and a teenage son. He had special needs. She was like 16 or 17. I think he was like 13 or 14. And he was part of some weird death cult.
Yeah.
Like the zombies were coming and they thought the kids were possessed and they ended up killing the kids. But before that, like her husband was murdered. Then it was like her brother-in-law who did it. Then he was dead.
Yeah.
It's like everywhere she goes,
somebody dies.
Yeah. And now she's going to represent herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting.
That's it. I mean, I don't even know. Like, she's giving interviews and stuff. I don't even know, like, at this point, because she's already been convicted, or, she's already got, I don't know if she pleaded out or she got convicted. Then she got convicted because the first ones happened in Idaho, not in Arizona. I think this one's in Arizona. And because, a lot of things have happened. And do you remember they were on vacation? Like, his wife died, and then after his wife died, mysteriously, like within days they were married, and then in Hawaii. And I guess they thought they were going to pull this off.
Yeah.
They were smart.
Yeah, so I guess the Arizona case is her allegedly conspiring to murder her estranged husband.
Yeah. And
so she got convicted of murdering her children.
Yes.
Now she's up for planning to kill her estranged husband.
A lot of death around that lady. And then,
she smiles.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were doing interviews with her in her bikini when they were in Hawaii. Like the gall. But they thought that the end of the world was coming and that these kids were possessed.
Yeah.
And zombies, and that the kids were already dead. These were just, a vessel.
Terrible, man.
Just horrific. And now she's going to represent herself. I don't know.
Yeah, well, apparently, she just figured, Idaho was a bust. Maybe I should handle my case in Arizona.
Maybe I should get my own on.
Yeah.
Right? Idaho's got a lot of wacky stuff because it's got that dude who killed all those girls. Was it Cronenberg was his name?
Oh,
yeah.
Koberger. Yeah, that is, we're going on 3 years, aren't we?
Yeah. Right.
Since those murders.
Man, that was so weird.
And this guy he's still somehow avoiding trial.
Well, it's because he's got a smart team that is asking for every little thing, right? We need DNA in this. What about that? There's 4,000 of these knives sold a day. We got his phone over here, but his phone was stolen. And because it's death penalty case, right? Because it's Idaho. So, you're going to get a little bit more scrutiny in that situation.
Yeah, yeah.
But with Daybell, good God, what a nut. Lori Vallow Daybell, she took his name. Oh, love.
Isn't she sweet?
She's a nut. And you know what? Guys are going, she's pretty hot, though. I'd go out with her.
Oh, man, she's getting cards and letters every day.
If she got out today, there'd be guys lining up to date her. They're like, hey, I know that something happened. That's in the past.
Wow.
People are wacky. What has she done that's ladylike? Well, she's got lady bits. That's about it.
Yeah.
I don't know what else. I mean, somebody said Goldberger. That's not his name. Is it Koberger? Koberger may not have done it. Take a deep dive into the new DNA evidence and everything that's being released. I know that's why it's taken so long. And you go, these cases, especially murder cases, it's not like a robbery case. They're going to take a little bit longer. which is good because you measure twice.
So I guess the main evidence that the prosecution has is, I guess, DNA on one of those knife sheaths.
Yeah.
It's his DNA.
Yes. That's what the last thing I had read is they've got that.
Yeah.
And they had pinged his phone in some areas. And, of course, they had the whole thing was weird because remember there were 2 roommates that were there that
they're supposedly asleep while it was happening.
Or they knew something was going on. They weren't quite sure. And then they stayed in their room.
Yeah.
And it sounds weird, but, murder it's a bizarre thing that it has become a entertainment in this country. There's always been a morbid fascination, I think, with a lot of people in murder. But now we've got shows that are just devoted to this. But, it is fascinating that there were two people survived, 2 roommates, but also that he managed to kill these people that fast with nobody knowing what was going on. It was almost like, and, it was like, is this like, Jason and Michael Myers? Like, who's this? Because this is in the woods. And how did he pick these people out if indeed it's him? I don't know. And now you got the Lori Daybell, which is just, wow. Just crazy. She's going to get the chair or I don't know what they do. In Arizona, it is you get the shot. So
lethal injection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I call it the shot. So my buddy Taylor, she went to one last year. And she said it was, it was what it was. I mean, it's not like I've had a couple friends because of the station I worked out there. They ask, can people of the media come? And so we had 3 of our people go. And one of them, it took them a while to get, anything in the line. They couldn't get it right. But now everything's been paused because it has to do with where you get the drugs from. Are the drugs, are they past their sell-by date, Like it's milk. So weird.
She's serving 2 life prison terms. So no death penalty.
No death penalty. Well, that's in Idaho, right? Yeah. So in Arizona, even if she got the death penalty, it's on pause right now.
Yeah, but can she get it for just conspiracy?
Well, he died.
Yeah.
But she didn't kill him, but did she hire him to kill him?
Yeah.
Or was there... the whole thing is so convoluted and weird. But she's going to represent herself. She must have stayed at a Holiday Inn last night.
Something, man.
You know what they say? Person who represents themselves has a fool for a lawyer.
That's right. That's right. Wonder what that's costing her. What do you think she's going to... I can't even imagine what this looks like. Right?
I can't either, man.
What is she going to get up there and say? So do you remember the guy, Ferguson, who shot all those people in, was it New York on the subway? Because he hated all the white people. And he represented himself, and he would ask, do you see the person that did it? They're like, yeah, it's you.
Yes.
Yes,
that's
remember that
right.
guy?
Yes.
Yeah. By the way, that did not go well for him. He did not get off.
No, he did not.
So, well, good luck to you, Lori, you nut. There are guys out there, I'm telling you right now, that would absolutely, if she got out, they'd be like, hey, how you doing?
Oh, yeah.
And look at all the girls coming out of the woodwork over Luigi Mangione. It's ridiculous.
Even though he was a coward.
Yeah, it was a coward. Absolute coward.
And you were talking yesterday about the Carmelo, what's his name?
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah. He's got what? A couple $300,000 worth of GoFundMe.
It's over that now. There's one that has almost $300,000 in it. And it is and you know the sad thing about that is there's now it's a battling narrative that this kid was a racist, right? And that there's these pictures of him and his family hunting, and they're like white supremacy and all that, like they were out hunting, black people in the middle of the day. And that's the narrative that's out there. And on the other side, it's, even a lot of people who are, again, Americans that happen to be black are coming out saying, this is ridiculous. The guy's not a hero. One person said it was Jim Crow. It was Rosa Parks. you can't tell him where to be. Yeah, this is a team competition.
Even let's just assume that the kid was 100% racist. He was a card-carrying Klan member. Why throw your own life away killing somebody over their lack of ability to have any sense of forward thinking? You have ruined your own life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of this action on your part.
Well, 100%. And on top of that, you went into somebody else's tent, right? Like everybody's trying to make it like this was some sort of tent that was just in the middle. And no, it wasn't. If you guys don't know anything about Austin Metcalf, it happened last week. Track meet, Plano, Texas, just outside of Dallas. A kid named Carmelo Anthony, and I have to was not the basketball player, and Austin Metcalf. Carmelo's black. Anthony went in, and apparently they got into some sort of tussle because he'd been asked to leave this tent because this tent was the track team, because it was a track meet of Austin Metcalf's team in his high school. Been asked on numerous occasions to leave the tent. They got into some sort of argument, and they got into a scuffle, and he stabbed him. And so he's being held on $1 million bond at this moment in time.
When I was in high school, I got into not a lot, but I'd say a few fist fights here and there. You know, you're trying to prove you're some sort of a man or whatever the case may be, and you get into an altercation. I've never once in my life ever thought about, man, I wish I had a knife instead of just my fists, or I wish I had a gun instead of a knife. I just don't understand the thought process at all.
No, I don't understand the thought process either. And you know, somebody sent us pictures about it. He had been suspended for having a knife at school already. He was skipping school that day, shouldn't have been there. But you're right. You know, in our day, you know, remember the movie Friday? Remember that? And they were going to shoot him, and he says, no, man, in our day, you throw fist, and then you get up and you leave, and you shake hands, and you go the other way, and what's done is done.
Yeah, pops.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Nowadays, kids decide that you've bumped into me. How many times do we hear this? At a mall, you know, outside here or
You're
anywhere.
dissing me.
Yeah, you dissed me. You disrespected me. Now we got beef. Or you bumped into me or you gave me a look. And then first thing they do is they take out guns or knives and they start doing something. And who gets hurt? It's always the innocent.
Yeah.
It's always the innocent.
And you destroy your own life in the process of hurting somebody else. It's not smart.
No. And that's what the dad has said, which, by the way, he's been dragged through it because he said, look, I feel bad, obviously, for his kid and the loss of his son and stuff and the devastation in his families and what they're going through, because I feel bad for them, too, because this kid's thrown away his entire life. He's probably never going to get out of jail again. And his life is not only ruined, but his family's life is now in upheaval. And it was, why did you bring a knife to a track meet? And at what point did you decide the only thing that I can do is stab this guy? Which is, I don't know. It's sad. It's a sad situation. And I think it's an indictment more and more on us as a culture, especially among young men. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to squeeze into this hour. I do believe Matt Monsoon is back today.
I believe so.
Yeah, we're going to call him Matt Mammoth now because he's going to be part of the Woolly Mammoth crew because we're bringing back the Mammoth. Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait to ride those. It's going to be awesome. We're not going to get a chance to do that. If you guys haven't heard, we brought back a 13,000-year-old direwolf. Yeah. So cool.
Formerly extinct, now not so much.
Not so much. Now alive and well in a 2,000-acre compound, living their best lives that they didn't know they were going to have. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold. Why gold? Well, in times of uncertainty, and trust me, we have a little bit of that, gold has always been a safe haven where people go and say, look, I've worked hard. I've got a nice nest egg. I am investing and doing smart things, but I might need the physical side of something to protect ourselves in times of inflation, times of weakening dollar. Gold is a great safe haven. I want you to text the word Benson to 989898 today for Birch Gold. They're going to send you out an info kit, show you how easy it is to get involved with gold and why gold is such a great tool and asset to have, especially in times like these. Great opportunity as well because gold, I still think, has plenty of movement in it. So text the word Benson today to 989898 for Birch Gold. That's who I buy my gold from. They're going to get you out an investor kit, an info kit, let you take a look at everything that they do and why gold is so important. Text the word Benson now to 989898 for Birch Gold.
Another legal victory for the Trump administration. Tariffs update. And Tennessee lawmakers debate a bill today that provides herbicide and pesticide manufacturers legal immunity from lawsuits claiming they're making people sick. All this and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I always find that a little hypocritical. So wait, you want to give them immunity, yet everybody got mad that pharmaceutical companies got immunity from certain things? Like COVID vaccines. It's just, yeah. I mean,
like supposedly the EPA approval gives you some kind of leeway on that.
Well, they should give you a little. The problem is the EPA doesn't write the stuff they put on their own, like the bottles and stuff. They kind of do that themselves.
It's all about the labeling.
It is. My uncle, so we have a house still in Long Beach, California. My grandfather passed away and left it to us. And it's really weird. It's on this street where we're surrounded by a giant nursery. And it's like it's like one of those weird things where it's a house in the middle of a busy street and there's all this other stuff around it. But we've had it. It's been our family forever. And when he was a kid, they sprayed that herbicide and pesticide and he got a bunch of money because he got sick. And yeah, it's all about the labeling. But if you're able to write the label up yourself, that's, I mean, everybody who gets sick, we don't want somebody, because we should have tort reform in this country. Let's be real. But we already have way too many lawsuits. And it's like, did you pass by this place 7 years ago? You may be entitled to $50 billion. It's like, okay, we can't blame everything on that. But there are some things where we can look and go, okay, well, wait a minute here. What's the reality of it? Like, let's dive deeper into some of these things. And we just brought a damn wolf back from extinction for 13,000 years. You don't think we can come up with something that's a little healthier?
Dude, it's not just a wolf. It's a
It's a
dire wolf.
It's not a regular wolf. It's not one of those crappy wolves that are out there. Gray ones or timbers. You guys are yesterday.
This one's 3.5 feet at the shoulder.
At the shoulder. That's incredible. That's like amazing. By the way, if you want to see, we joke, we put on the Twitter, you can go at Chad Benson Show. What I said Trump should do is should have dire wolves next to him. Should have an eagle on his shoulder, American flag. Fully looks like Games of Thrones. Check it out. We posted that. So, tariffs are ruining everybody's lives, apparently. This young lady's very upset about it. By the way, she's nowhere near retirement and what's going on. And she didn't even think she should have to go to work at this point in time.
So you're telling me I could wake up tomorrow morning and the stock market could be in the worst shape that it's been in decades in my lifetime. And I'm just supposed to go to my corporate girly job? I'm just supposed to wake up knowing that America is in shambles and we're living in pure hell. And I just got to wake up and go do my 9 to 5? This is why all millennials are in therapy.
I don't really think that's the reason that all millennials are in therapy. I mean, you guys got to get stronger. And by the way, life's not bad. We brought back a dire wolf, 3 of them. It's just the beginning.
This is why all millennials are in therapy, because this has been our life. Since September 11th, I have vivid memories of watching people jump out of buildings during 9/11. And then the teachers just clicked the TV off and they're like, but don't forget you have a math test tomorrow. It was just, that was the beginning of it. That was the beginning of it. And it's never stopped. It's never stopped.
What? Are you for real? Hey, I know America's under attack and you guys ought to pop quiz tomorrow. I'm giving you guys
work out the
notice.
geometry of the attack.
So I've never been able to get over it. Oh my Lord, this is crazy. So what's a girly job, by the way? I have to go to my girly job. I thought we didn't have genders anymore. Thought that was part of the fun.
No, we have 300 of them.
300 of them, or whatever it is this week. Settle down with your tariffs. We're going to talk a little tariffs. Mostly we're going to talk about dire wolves coming up because it's just amazing. If you guys haven't heard what's happened, it is awesome. It's why America is great. When the rest of the world is not, they're not even playing the rest of the world at this point in time, Neanderthals. They're not even that. They're just sludge trying to catch a breath. We're so far ahead of them. America! It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes and another legal victory for the Trump administration today. Devin Dwyer says it impacts about 16,000 probationary federal employees who had been fired.
A federal district court judge put a hold on those, said the Trump administration need to reinstate those workers, that it was likely illegal the way that they were fired. But today, the Supreme Court reversed that decision.
Meanwhile, have you checked your stocks today?
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Michelle Franzen. After a major sell-off in the wake of President Trump's rollout of a sweeping tariff plan last week, stocks today rebounding a bit. And the White House says it plans to push ahead with reciprocal tariffs on countries.
President Trump says a delegation from South Korea is traveling to the U.S. to meet with his administration to discuss trade following his phone call with the acting president there. The president on social media said there's a probability of a great deal for both countries, but gave no specifics of what he's looking to negotiate. Treasury Secretary Scott Besson said Tuesday morning officials from Vietnam will be coming to Washington this week, and the Japanese are also eager to start talks. Besson telling ABC News.
And I think you're going to see a couple of big trading partners do deals very quickly.
ABC's Karen Travers. President Trump has threatened to slap another 50% tariff on China goods until China drops retaliatory hikes on U.S. imports. China says it vows to fight any tariffs with countermeasures.
Later today in Tennessee, agriculture attorney Dustin Justin Kittle telling WTN's Dan Mandis show he's going to testify against a bill that would give legal immunity to herbicide and pesticide manufacturers. It comes after consumers successfully sued over sicknesses caused by Roundup.
Now they have went to the state legislatures and said, we do not believe that we should be subject to a lawsuit at all, so long as the EPA has essentially approved our product. And, their whole argument here is the label doesn't say that the product doesn't cause cancer.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee HVAC and plumbing. Let me tell you something about Busy Bee. They are awesome. They got great deals going on. Spring cleaning giveaway, right? You can win a whole home deep clean going on right now. Spring, breathe easier. This package is amazing. They got tons of packages, including, and I love this, the toilet tune-up. 3 levels, fresh start, flush the hassle. Boom, right now. You join the Beehive Club. Take advantage of these and so many other things with Busy Bee. The team over there is going to take care of you. Nathan, Gary, and everybody. They're amazing. And I will tell you this, because my wife, she was a contractor for years, and she started talking to them. She's like, they're so much further ahead of the game than so many other places. Yeah, they are. And they're going to take care of you. So whether you've got issues with your HVAC or your plumbing, you have nothing to worry about when Busy Bee's on the job. Why don't you call them today? Join the Beehive Club, 775-7833. That's 775-7833. Or check out everything they do and then some online at busybeehvac.com. Yeah, MyPillow right now. Deep discounts on amazing sheets. Now, they got all kinds of sheets, including the Giza Dream Sheets, ultra soft, breathable sheets, luxurious satin weaves, like you're sleeping on $1 million. They're incredible. Not going to lie to you. 10-year warranty, 6-day money-back guarantee. Multiple colors and sizes. Queens, normally $139.98. Right now, yours, $69.99. King, $79.99. Now, my favorite, especially this time of the year, Percal bed sheets. Crisp, cool. If you're like me, you sleep hot. These are the sheets you want. 100% long staple cotton sheets offer fresh, breathable, and cooler sheets right there. Queen size, normally $89.98. Now just $29.98. King, just $34.98. Come with a 6-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. Luxury, comfort, durability. That's what MyPillow delivers. Right now, go to MyPillow.com and grab these while supplies last. Use my code Benson. That's MyPillow.com/Benson. Use that promo code Benson. Free shipping options available. Somebody said to me, direwolves? Why did you bring back direwolves? Simple. Because you could. And it's about de-extinction, what they're saying. They're trying to use this as a way to maybe save animals that are close to extinction. And
let's be honest, this is just the first step. You know, it's a tentative step that we're taking towards trying to get a T-Rex.
Yeah, you don't start there, right? You don't start with a T-Rex because everything else would be like, and nobody cares.
Grow a brontosaurus and stick it in the middle of Times Square.
That's right. They brought back a woolly mouse, which is also very old and hasn't been around for a while. And the problem was, right, it was actually, they brought it back prior to, but it was born after the dire wolves were born. Nobody cares about the woolly mouse now. You're stupid. Nobody likes you. We've got big wolves over here. They're awesome. They are. It's going to be interesting to see what they can bring back in the way that they've engineered it. And they've got their own YouTube page, by the way. That's why they really did it. It's just regular wolves painted white so they could say we got a YouTube page.
Likes and clicks, baby.
Over 10,000 years ago, a howl was lost to time. But today it returns. Meet Remus and Romulus, the first two direwolves since the Pleistocene era.
Somebody said it's not a direwolf, it's just a gray wolf that's genetically... It is as close as you're going to get. Like, if you brought back a T-Rex and it's like somebody's going to go, man, it's only 18 feet. Those were 20. It's just a lizard.
You're using iguana DNA.
Oh. That would be funny, though. Giant iguana? We might do that next. You don't know.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That would a giant iguana. So it's interesting. By the way, you want to find out how they... Let's go through it. And I know it's just a simpleton thing, and it's just they just grabbed regular wolves and painted them white.
We extracted DNA from 2 fossils that we knew from previous work had some amount of preserved ancient DNA. One was a 13,000-year-old bone, and the other was a 72,000-year-old bone, an inner ear bone. We were able to generate 2 genomes, 2 direwolf genome sequences from that, which we then compared to all the other wolves for which there's already been data generated. And when we do that, we want to figure out where it is that these 2 dire wolves are similar to each other, but different from the other wolves that are out there. And so we come up with this list of genes where they're distinct.
And it is as close as you're going to get by not having living things. It's like Jurassic Park. Are they really, like, if that was real, would those really be T-Rexes? It's as close as you're going to get. Was Dolly the sheep a real sheep? Remember that? Yes, it was. Somebody said, I thought they weren't supposed to be cloning. Let's be honest. Science is going to do what science does. They're going to push the envelope. And for that, it's going to scare some of us. It's going to excite some of us. And eventually, whatever they create may eat one of us. But still,
we need to start a pool on the first time that happens.
First time I heard this today, I thought, come on. You guys have not seen Jurassic Park? None of you? Because the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger are next on the list. The Tasmanian tiger would be cool. Who's the guy that says he thinks there's several of them still left?
I can't. Forrest Gallant. Forrest Gallant.
He said from all the stuff that they have seen out there, and this thing was supposedly extinct early in the last century, and there's one famous, like, several minutes of it walking back and forth in like a zoo.
Yeah, the last one.
The last one. But there's always been rumors. There's a great movie out a few years ago with Willem Dafoe, creepy, called The Hunter, where he's supposed to be out hunting the last one.
Oh, it's such a shame. William, you're a bad man.
So, Willem.
Whatever,
you weirdo. Continue, ma'am. I'm sorry about that.
Now, our goal in the direwolf project, just like with all de-extinction projects, is to re-engineer the core traits, the core characteristics that made these extinct species unique and able to fill whatever role that they filled in their ecosystems when they were still alive.
Somebody wants to see a Komodo dragon turn into one that flies. No, you don't. And you don't.
Well, if we're going to do that, why don't we just make one that can breathe fire too?
All right. How's that work? Godzilla. That'd be great. We already have one of those. I never understood Godzilla. So wait a minute. We bombed your country, and because of that, we caused the lizard to breathe fire and destroy your country. Man, we are really mean.
Using this knowledge, Colossal then made 20 modifications to 14 genes in the DNA of common gray wolf cells. These relatively few tweaks to the genetic code produce some big differences. The direwolf's white coat, large size, characteristic vocalizations like that howling you heard at the beginning of the story, and more. That DNA was transferred to denucleated egg cells, meaning cells without their own genetic material, and then developed into embryos and were then implanted in the wombs of surrogate mothers, who were hound mixed dogs.
There we go. That's how they say they did it. Some people out there say, not really a dire. It's, you know what? You're playing with some. And again, if you bring some back, they said they're going to bring back the woolly mammoth. If they bring back a woolly mammoth, people say, well, it's not this. Because there's always the naysayers out there. It's never going to be 100% because they don't have a time machine yet. Somebody asked if they're going to clone human beings. That's coming. What did I see the other day where they want to try to grow lab humans so they can harvest organs?
Well, that and we have to clone Marilyn.
Marilyn Monroe. That was right. I went with Betty Page. You guys choose who you would like. I want the young Betty Page that was fun, not the one that went wacky.
Oh, for a second, I thought you meant Betty Boop.
Like, Betty Boop might be too. She just passed away, didn't she?
Yeah.
So she was that lady who voiced Betty Boop. She was in Christmas Vacation. She was the old lady. Yeah, that's the original Betty Boop. So we'll see. We'll see. It's interesting, though. See, that's just it. It's interesting. This is interesting. This is neat. This is what makes America great. The fact that we have this, we're doing these kind of things. Not that we're playing God somewhere far away, with some doctor who decides to give money to his buddy, who then gives money to a lab in China, and they start playing around with some sort of bat viruses. I mean, that's science fiction. Or not. Trump got to win in court when it comes to deportations. But it's not a full win, but it is a win.
President Trump hailed the Supreme Court ruling as, quote, a great day for justice in America. And this is a victory for the administration, but as you note, only a partial one. On a 5-4 vote, with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, a Trump appointee, joining the court's liberals in dissent, the Supreme Court ruled that President Trump can continue to use the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 for now to carry out deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members.
So you have to listen to the judge. If the lower court judge says you got to do this, at the same time, when it comes to deportations, there is, and this is the Supreme Court. Okay, and we talked about it about an hour and a half ago, and everybody's like, Supreme Court's stupid. We should get rid of the Supreme Court. You know, it's the usual stuff.
But the ruling was narrow. The court's majority holding only that this case was brought in the wrong lower court, so litigation likely to continue. And this is huge. All 9 justices of the Supreme Court agreed that courts do have the power to review the president's actions under that 1798 law, and that each and every Venezuelan migrant scheduled to be deported must get due process. That is advance notice of the deportation and a meaningful opportunity to challenge it in court.
Which I'm fine with. I want them to have due process, because I think the more that we have due process, the more that we're transparent, the more that we show this is what we found, this is who these people are. We have found them to be part of MS-13 or whatever gang they were part of. They were conspiring. They've been arrested here. The more that we have those things, the better it is all around. And due process, to me, is very important out there and following the Constitution.
Chief Justice John Roberts essentially calling a timeout here, giving the court more time to consider the case of Kilmar Albrego Garcia. He is a Maryland man in the United States legally, who the government admits it mistakenly deported to that El Salvador prison. The administration does not want to return him. A lower court judge has ordered that the administration bring him back to the United States, but the administration argues that exceeds the power of the judiciary and interferes with the president's ability to carry out foreign affairs.
We'll find out what this looks like, because this is going to be ongoing. And plus, you have several other cases that are involved here where, you know, yesterday, there's so much confusion. You've got again, for lack of a better term, you had the gay hairdresser. You had the soccer player. You had the Maryland father. They're not all the same. And do I think that a vast majority of these people were gang members? Absolutely. Do I think we're better off with them not being here? 100%. Could we have made a mistake? I think it's possible. I mean, you know, what was the hang loose? We were throwing up hang loose signs earlier. Uh-oh, Bell just threw one up. You know what that means? Get him out of here. Gang member.
Deport me back to Sweden.
Sweden. Deport me back to Sweden. You want to go to the island of Dr. Moreau, I see.
No, I want to go to the ABBA Museum.
The what? The Isle of what?
The ABBA Museum.
Oh, God.
They got an ABBA museum?
Yes.
Well, I'll be.
They got an ABBA museum. Are you kidding me?
No.
He asked that question?
Come on. How could you expect Stockholm to not have an ABBA museum?
That's in their entire... I'm surprised they're not on the flag.
I think that's a good idea.
Right? Could you imagine that?
That's a change we need to make.
That is a change we need.
It says SOS.
Oh, God, that's great.
That's my favorite ABBA song.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. SOS.
That's a good song. What's your favorite ABBA song?
There's no such thing as a favorite. Some are just better than others.
What's your favorite summer better than others if you were stuck on an island with a bunch of dire wolves?
Probably the title track to the Visitors album.
Man, you are deep into ABBA.
Yes.
Oh, you're one of those?
Yes.
Oh, that's uncomfortable. I had a friend, so she played on the women's national team when we were all younger. We all traveled to Europe together. We went down to visit her. She was in San Diego, and she blonde hair, blue eye, her whole family. We didn't, they were our friends. Right? She wasn't Swedish. She was American. She was born and raised in San Diego. Settled down. We don't need to deport her. So shows you how long ago, the whole thing is we were going down to San Diego. We were like 16, and everybody was going to go across to Tijuana and party and do stuff like that because you could do that without having to worry about dying.
Yeah.
And my buddy Dalton comes out, and he goes, dude, you got to come in the house because we're outside waiting for him. I go, why? He goes, Mom and them are from Sweden. I said, yeah. He goes, it's a shrine of ABBA. And you go in there, and it's, honest to God, was a shrine
As it
of
should
ABBA.
be. As it should be.
Hundreds of pictures.
Good for them.
Music was playing.
I find these people to be appropriate and right.
Bell, everybody. Bell. Headless, but not without taste. Gonna wrap it up straight ahead. I think Matt's coming in. We'll talk to him, or maybe not. Yesterday, Cameron didn't even show up until the show was about ready to start. He just kind of blew us off. What are you going to do? It's Chet Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. welcome to Jurassic Park.
Not bad.
I'd be like, holy bleep, that's a big bleep, bleep, bleep.
Clever girl.
Matt Murphy, ladies and gentlemen, he's in.
Hi there. Hello.
He's in for Cameron Smith today.
How's everybody? Matt in for 2 days. 2 days I take off.
I'm kidding, sir.
2 days. Everybody acts like it's been a month of Sundays.
No.
Hello.
I took off Friday, so I went
Did
golfing.
you? How was that? Did you?
Yes, went to was it Franklin Bridge or whatever. It was nice.
Yeah, it used to be called Forest Crossing, and I believe it's now called the Bridge. They did not change the name of the neighborhood, but they did change the name of the golf course because Nathan Bedford Forrest.
I liked it.
It's a nice course.
It is. I would like to be out there when there aren't dead fish on the fairway. Because it had flooded so much, there were dead fish.
Okay.
So, but it was fun.
What's the ruling there? I think it's I think that's free drop, right?
It's a free drop. Yeah. Dead fish is a free drop.
Yeah. No doubt.
So is floating ball in sand trap.
Okay. Yeah. Got to pull that out.
So, but it was good. It was good. How was your little trip?
It was good. I got washed out for some of the weekend because there was some outdoor work that needed to be done regarding a fence. We were unable to do that, but overall it was pretty good. I celebrated a buddy of mine's 60th birthday on Friday, and then did some fence deconstruction, and was not able to do construction because rain all day Sunday in Montgomery.
Well, you weren't here for the fun rain that came on Saturday night here.
I was not. Round 2 was left to whomever did it, I'm assuming.
It was Bell, it was Dan, it was Chris, and myself.
There you go.
So we rocked and rolled it.
I bet you did.
It was a good time.
Is the flooding over yet? I just got back into town.
I think we're going to have a little bit more
flooding
for the next couple of days, but we'll be all right.
I have a question that I've heard comprehensive coverage on the Chad Benson show about these dire wolves.
Yes, and they're dire indeed.
Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Dire wolves?
Yeah.
Because I never watched Game of Thrones. I had no idea.
I've never watched it.
I had no idea any of this was happening. Yeah. But here's what I want to know. What killed them? Why did they go extinct?
It was because climate change.
Well, I mean,
Project 2025,
right?
January 6th.
I'm shocked and amazed to discover that things went extinct before human beings were responsible for it.
I said it earlier. Where's Greta? Right? Where's Greta?
I mean, right?
See, Greta, we can bring this back. We can fix the climate. We'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, we'll be all right. We'll bring back cool temperatures. We'll recreate those through AI.
It's probably a giant
meteor. What?
Herds of mastodon.
Is that where
teamed up and stomped them all to death?
I think he's making that up.
Maybe.
I think Fred Flintstone did it.
Could have been.
Fred and Barney.
Hunted them to extinction.
Bonnie, we're not going bowling, Bonnie. We're going to go kill some wolves.
Some big old wolves.
Yeah, Fred and Barney, they were always scheming.
Always
told Wilma and
they were the honeymooners, but cartoons.
Always told Wilma and Betty they were going bowling. They were never going bowling.
They've never been bowling a day in their life.
Just take it up. Just Mr. Slate. He was the victim in all of that.
They were doing drugs and talking to a little interdimensional alien.
Yeah, I've never really figured that one out.
Hippies. I mean, running around with no shoes on.
Kazoo showed up. You're like, what the hell is this Kazoo doing here?
It's so totally jumped the shark with Kazoo.
Right?
It's like,
okay.
You dum-dums.
You guys don't remember, there was an alien that just flew around everybody. It was like randomly. The Jetsons, something from the Jetsons landed in their world.
Yeah, I feel like it was year 3 or 4, and they needed to jazz it up a little bit. And maybe the Jetsons had taken off some steam from... You dum-dums.
That was such a... Wow, that was a jump of the shark moment, wasn't it?
I mean, come on.
Fantastic. So, yeah, no, I was excited talking about the dire wolves. They're not dire wolves, they're gray wolves that have been genetic. Okay, get over. Let's all. Everybody's got to be right about everything. It's an amazing thing. And when they bring back the woolly mammoth, I know it'll be 15 times the size of a regular one. And you're going to be like, it's not really a woolly mammoth. Well, whatever it is, it's big.
Here's my question, though. And this actually, you kind of go to the heart of it. But my question was, how do we know? Right? Like, how do we know that? I mean, that's a dire wolf.
Well, they've genetically modified. They took out all of the genes, like inside of the genes. They took out everything they possibly could of the gray wolf and replaced it with because the gray wolf and the dire wolf have some crossover, like all wolves do, and they took it out and replaced it with the stuff that they got from the teeth and the dome.
My favorite part about that explanation was the this and the this.
Well, yeah, that was for the television folks.
Because
when I watched it, it looked like they were doing that.
Stuffing with the this and the pulling this and then the moving this.
It was awesome.
And then, look at that.
It's a lot of fun, though.
They look like a cute little puppy.
Yeah. By the way, they're huge already.
Are they?
Yeah, they're already.
How big did they get?
About 30% bigger than a gray wolf.
How big's a gray wolf?
About 100 pounds, 120 pounds.
150.
150.
So that's like a big old mastiff, big old
these
Irish
will be right
wolfhound.
around. Yeah, much bigger, much bigger.
Okay.
It is the Chad Benson Show. Matt, straight ahead.